gentlemen, welcome to the Audio Asylum. I am your host, Joe, and I am here today with Marcus Sublime. Am I pronouncing that right?
No, so everyone screws it up. It's totally fine. It's Slabine.
Slabine. That sounds that sounds badass though. That's a really cool last name.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
No problem. So Marcus has worked on Stream and some of the Terrifier films we obviously cannot talk about before. The Dark Offerings. And also, so I want to ask this while I was doing my research. You worked on The Dark Knight Rises?
Yes, I did. I worked on I was on the Wall Street unit, so I did all the I was doing the Big Bane fight at the very end.
Oh, snap. That's
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah, so I was only on for 2 days. It was actually one of the most insane things ever because they filled the streets with people. There was like thousands and thousands of extras just in the background fighting and everything. But it was also what a lot of people don't know is Occupy Wall Street was also happening at the same time. So we weren't allowed to say that we were shooting The Dark Knight Rises, despite the fact that Gotham City PD is like all over the place.
Wow.
And you couldn't tell the Occupy Wall Street people, like people had to like they were trying to hold them all back and like not let them in, and they were like, "Go fuck yourself!" Like we know that you guys that there's people writing just trying not to get us in. We're like, no, 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 we seriously, this is a movie, like
Wow.
so. But yeah, I think the best story I have from that one is I was actually wearing a Marvel shirt. I had like it was like Captain America, Spider-Man, Iron Man, one of those shirts. And I get a tap on my shoulder and I turn around and it was Christopher Nolan. Um
Shit.
and and I was like I didn't know what to say. He goes, looks down, he goes, "That's a very interesting shirt you got there." And I looked at him, I was like, "Fuck it. Marvel trumps DC hands down."
Oh,
And he like takes a step back and he's like, "You got some balls, kid." And I was like, "Yeah, and I want to keep this job, so I'm getting the fuck out." And I
yeah.
ran.
Dude, that's the most like punk rock thing. Saying
He
that?
thought it was funny because I didn't get fired, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say if you said that to Christopher Nolan and didn't get fired, that's like almost the equivalent of winning a WWE championship. That's pretty cool.
Well, it's more realistic than the Mike Tyson fight, so
Oh my God, don't get me started. Jesus Christ. I put that on with so low expectations, but I was like, what are we doing here?
yeah. I mean, listen, I grew up with Mike Tyson. I'm up there in age, so like the guy is one of the greatest fighters on the planet. And if you really watch the fight and you look at like how he was at the beginning of the fight, he really lays into him.
Oh
And
yeah.
you see him like the after the first connect hit, Paul just starts tapping his back like 100%, being like, yo, stop, 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 stop,
Yeah.
because he knows that Tyson's going to take him down. I mean, I honestly think Tyson would have taken him down in the first round, but also because of what happened when there was a 3-minute Mike Tyson fight way back in the day, they always try to extend it because people pay a lot of money to watch Mike Tyson.
Yeah, true. I felt like it was a little bit of a circus, so to speak, by Netflix, like as their first live streaming sports event. But I
Oh,
wanted him to knock out Jake Paul so bad.
I'll give him this. Look, Jake Paul. I really wanted to knock him out, but I also give Jake Paul this. Like the guy knows how to market. The guy does know how to like set a stage and have that presence and everything. And I mean, at the end of the day, we watched million. We all sat there, like who the fools? We're the ones that all tuned in and sat there for. It was supposed to go on an 8. The fight didn't start till midnight, and we all
Yeah,
stayed in. To watch millionaires make $20 million.
exactly.
So, yeah,
I always say that about Jake Paul that like while he's polarizing, he's bringing eyes back to boxing, whether people like to admit it or not.
yeah.
So he plays the villainous, antagonizing role to the T that everybody wants to see him get his ass kicked. But he's fun to watch shit talk. I'll give him that too.
Oh yeah, and let me tell you something. The memes lately have been hilarious. Like his name, like that they just announced his next match, and he's gonna fight Jimmy Carter.
Oh
or he's
yeah,
gonna push an elderly George Foreman down the stairs for $20 million. I'm like, you guys are killing me.
yeah. I'm a big pro wrestling fan, and like, there's all the memes about Raw debuting on Netflix, and it's like John Cena coming out with the Netflix buffering logo behind him at like 25%.
Oh,
So
that's great.
I mean, fingers crossed for the WWE and Netflix.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, after this, this was I'm assuming it was a huge success for Netflix for their first
Oh yeah.
live stream. So, we're gonna probably get more and more and more, and who knows, maybe they'll do something that's crazy. We can only hope. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I have like obviously questions and stuff, but as a director and producer, like was there a moment that you knew you wanted to get into doing film, and was it specifically horror or just movies in general?
Oh, that's a good question. So, growing up, I always knew I wanted to be in film. Originally, I actually wanted to be an actor. And then I realized I can't really act. So instead of like being one of those people that lies to himself and tells himself that, so I always wanted to create worlds and stuff and characters and everything. So from a young age, I always knew, like, I used to put on uh my GI Joes I used to have, and I would put on movies with them and film it. I don't think the plots were very good, but um and then I as I got older, I would just start shooting things and just trying to do it back home. I'm from Massachusetts, so but like a lot of my friends wanted to do stuff, but then they didn't. I used to hate horror too.
Wow.
Used to be, I used to be petrified of it, but I've always been attracted to it without knowing it. Like I was always a huge Ghostbusters fan. And if you watch that cartoon now, it's like nightmare fuel. It's great.
Oh yeah.
But like I was an action adventure, Indiana Jones, Spielberg, nut. I mean, I love Jaws, all those. And then I finally saw Army of Darkness in the theater and watched the Evil Dead series backwards. And when I saw Evil Dead, it fucked me up so bad. It took me 3 tries to watch. And then I became obsessed with the Evil Dead series. And once the DVD came around, I already wanted to be in film, but listening to the commentaries, listening to Sam, listening to Bruce and everybody just talking about, you know, getting a bunch of friends together and basically just torturing each other in the woods for days and months and months and months and running out of money and coming back and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to make movies, like, and I moved to New York to go to film school, and then I've just been in the industry ever since. But horror has always been where I felt included. Horror is the only genre with a built-in fan base. It's the only genre where, like, you go to conventions nonstop, and it's not even to meet the people that you've been watching. It's to see your con family. It's to see your friends. To see the people that you love. I mean, this past year I've been starting to be able to be a guest at cons, and it's like you're seeing like the same people, and you're being able to watch them. Like they'll come out to the con, but it's like a vacation for them, and it's amazing to watch like that family come out, support, but also just hang out with each other. I mean, back in the day when I was going to cons, I was doing the same thing, and it's a beautiful thing. And to me, there is no better genre than the horror genre. I think horror unites people. I also think it's therapeutic. I also think that, like, it's obviously,
Yeah, it's
it's
off
easy.
on my camera, but I have a big collection to my left.
Oh yeah, I've got so much shit over here. I turn, but my whole place is a disaster right now. But it's I just find that there's so much beauty in horror. And I think the fan base to horror is the greatest fan base ever. So, if I only ever make horror films, I will be, I will consider myself to be successful. So,
That's awesome. I always say I think the heavy metal community and the horror community are the most misunderstood fan bases of all time. Like everybody, for the most part, is super nice in both of those communities.
oh yeah. I mean, and because they also kind of coincide with each other, you know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, a lot of metalheads are horror fans, you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. It's like when Sign Kills finally did the song for Terrifier 3,
So cool.
I'm like, that's the perfect I mean, it's the perfect band to do Terrifier. You know what I mean? Like they hit such a niche with the Silver Scream and Silver Scream 2 doing like horror movies, you know what I mean? Like as songs. And it's like combining the best of both worlds. And, yeah, it's like seeing all that come together. It's always beautiful.
That music video is badass. It's one of the coolest music videos I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, they shot that. When did they shoot that? They think they shot that in like June, maybe. I know Phil flew out there to work on it and stuff like that. I still have yet to see the extended version. But I know Terry Kaiser's in it, who we all worked with, and but like just watching the regular video, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. It is a perfect movie. It's a perfect music video that's gory, graphic, and fucked up to the one of the most fucked up movies of 2024. Not one of the most fucked
Yeah,
up
I was gonna
movie.
say probably the most fucked up movie in the best of ways. I went to see part two in the theater when it came out, and this was like during the publicity of people like leaving and whatnot. And
Yeah.
like me and my friends, like my buddy Drew and Blastoise, his real name's Anthony, we call him Blastoise. But we're in the car and we're like, you think anybody's gonna walk out? And we're like, live in the Bronx. So we go up to a
Oh,
theater.
nice.
Yeah, we go to a theater in New Rochelle and we're like, like, I don't think so. I don't think anybody from the Bronx will walk out. We maybe get 2 minutes in to part two, and we watched like a family of three just like get up and go. And then I go see it again a week later, and I believe it's the bedroom scene. And I'm
Yep.
sitting at the top of the theater, like with my two female friends, and they're fine because they're just as fucked in the head as I am. But whole first row, like five people left, and I was like, wow, like not that I thought it wasn't real that people were leaving, but I was like, holy shit, people are actually uncomfortable. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like no joke, as Damien has stated, as everyone has stated, um, that was not staged at all. Like I got a text from Michael about it. That's how I kind of found out about it, was like because I guess they were all together, and I just got a text from Michael and like you've got to check this shit out. And people were just getting nauseous and they were getting sick. And like it was that first one about the person that threw up that hit live, and then Terrifier 2 blew up because it became that dare movie. Oh, let's go see this movie. Let's see how fucked up it is. And like to me, I think a lot, like if you go back to like the old movies, like if you look at like William Castle, like House of Wax, House on Haunted Hill, The Tingler, all of those had gimmicks, and that's how he sold those movies. The Tingler, he put shocks in the seats, you know. Uh well, I mean, it was like a subwoofer really,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean, well, at least I think it was. Back then you could do a lot more than you can do
Yeah.
now. But he like he had a skeleton that would go by for for um for House on Haunted Hill with 13 ghosts. You could have the glasses where if you look through it through the blue side, you'd see the ghosts. Look to the red side, there was no ghosts. It's whether you believe or not. But like the gimmick stuff has always, the right gimmick always does keep people in the audience, keeps people coming, keeps things moving forward. And I think that I think Terrifier tapped into something. Like Damien really tapped into something, and I think people are also just thirsty. They're tired. It's like you see a tentpole movie like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny that has Harrison Ford returning for the final time, and it can't recoup its budget because it has a $350 million budget. Meanwhile, a film like Terrifier, makes $85 million at the box office. It's like the studios don't know how to, flip that into into what they're doing, because I think Matt Damon said it best. He was like, back in the day, you could spend $10 million on a movie, have it not do great, and then when DVD hits, you'd have a second opening. So then you'd have so you could make 10 million at the box office, and then make another 10 million on DVD. He goes, now you don't have that anymore because of streaming. Now
Yeah.
it's flat rates and it's all that stuff. So if your movie bombs, you're not really recouping anything. So it's a very so studios are either going super low or they're going stupid high and throwing everything under the sun, like Jurassic World Dominion take not being able to rely on its own self and having to call in Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, like the corpse of John Hammond, like all this stuff. It's like, um, and I think people they want new shit. They want to see stuff that they haven't seen before. And Terrifier is definitely something like that. I mean, you've never seen a film where, spoilers, you've never seen a film where a guy's getting his face peeled off, and while a face, while a demon girl is fucking doing what was it deemed at the con? Glasturbation.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, unspeakable things with glass.
No, look, when we filmed that scene, I zoned out while I was watching that happen, and I went up to Damien. I just was like, I'm like, dude, I just literally questioned every life choice I've ever made to end up here watching whatever the fuck it is that I'm watching. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And he's just like, I know it's fucked up, right? I'm like, yeah, like
I can't
there's
wait
so
to
much.
ask Samantha about that.
Oh, Sam is awesome.
She's
You definitely
great.
have to ask her about that. Sam is such a sweet, sweet, sweet person. She really is. And it's funny because when Sam's in all that makeup and her eye is out because it's a removable eye, she literally has a pin drop of vision, so she can't see shit.
Jeez.
And she'll be in that like half the day, hanging out with all of us talking, but like it's like you forget that she's in the makeup and turn around, you'll see that face, and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
But it's funny because I was going to ask you about like your opinion of, I guess for a lack of a better term, modern horror. Because I grew up like my grandmother raised me on like the OG Nightmare on Elm Street, the OG Fridays, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, House of Wax. Like I got to experience all that as I was young, and then as I've gotten older, like I love my Scream movies. Like there's stuff that hits in between, but for years I've just been like something new has to come along because I'm getting a little bored over here. And I wanted like to know if you have a similar opinion on that too, or your own opinion of like there was something missing in horror for a while, I feel, right?
So I mean, look, I grew up with all the classics. You know what I mean? It's like I think the 70s and 80s we got fucking spoiled. Like if you go to 1985 and you look at the laundry list of films that came out, it is banger after banger after banger after banger. I mean, you got Day of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead. You've got I think there's an Indiana Jones. You got Back to the Future. You have um like if you look at it, it's just like every amazing movie like that's just out. It's just like classics now. Like I think there's maybe 5 films last year that I can even remember that I'm like, oh yeah, that was good. Maybe I'll get that. It's like we don't have that same originality or anything like that. I think horror. I think there's always been great stuff in every generation of horror. You know what I mean? Like, and I think what happens is like there's one film that'll come out and it'll just blow everybody away, and then everyone just copies it and it rolls over until it dies. I think we've been getting some great horror films lately. I think, over the past 10 years, you've gotten some good stuff from like, like I'm a big James Wan fan. I love James Wan. Conjuring, I think is great. Insidious. Um, I do think that there's something missing because because like you have to really think about it. Like you look at the 80s, you have, the 70s and 80s, you got Leatherface, you got Michael, you got, Jason, you got Freddy, you got Pinhead, you've got Chucky, you've got all these people that, and it's like in the 2000s, we have Jigsaw and who else? You know what I mean? It's like
Ghostface, probably, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, Ghostface was more 90s, you know what I mean?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, but like we don't really have as many things now where it's like, it seems to be like the same stuff. Although there have been great films. I mean, I really do like the work of like Joe Begos, like VFW, I think is an underrated film that he did. Um, but like part of me does agree. Like I think horror, the problem is I think is that horror needs to be raw. It needs to be uh George A. Romero said it best. Film needs to be dangerous. You can't play it safe. You know, like you look at a film like Hills Have Eyes, that is not a safe film. That film is fucked. You know what I mean? Like there's so many elements in it that today you could never put into a movie. Same thing with like, even the original Charles Bronson's Death Wish. You can't make that movie today. And they did. They remade it and they completely changed it and ruined it. You know, and I think that there's a lot of really talented young filmmakers that are out there right now that are that are making some good stuff that you can find, that you can get out there. You know what I mean? Like all the different things. I mean, a friend of ours did the Hell House movies. You know what I mean? Like those, like for found footage films, like I mean, they're really good. Like it's like you can find the gems. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Dead Snow too.
Oh wow,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, like I think the second first Dead Snow I enjoyed. I think it was a little slow, but Dead Snow 2, whatever budget they got, whatever they added to that, it blew me out of the water. I watched that movie and I cry laugh during that movie. That movie from start to finish is nonstop. It's like Evil Dead 2 on crack. That's what I say, dude.
That's a good
It's just
analogy.
I mean you got you have zombie Nazis fighting Russian Nazis. I mean Russian zombies or Soviet zombies. Um uh, while the head zombie is killing people with a fucking army tank. Like that movie explaining it, like we don't get those types of movies. We just don't. And I really wish we did. You know, I think I think you can mention. I think to answer that question, um, um, you look at the 80s and 70s and 90s. You can mention genres of movies that came out that you're like, oh yeah, the slasher boom of the 80s, you know what I mean? Like the meta films of like the 90s, you know what I mean? Like the all the stuff. I don't know what I could say about the past 20 years. I mean, aside from like I hate using torture porn because it's not porn.
Yeah.
Not that, that was just like what the critics deemed it and stuff like that, which is like whatever. Um, but like I don't know, it's kind of hard to really, yeah, there is something missing, I think. And I think there's been so many reliances on reboots, remakes, requels, sequels, and all the stuff that we're not allowing people to create new things.
That's like perfectly said because I was gonna say that it's funny, like I'm 30 years old and my day job is in a high school. I don't talk about it a lot on the podcast, but it's funny, like I have an abundance of groups of teenagers that wear horror t-shirts and all this, and they'll ask me what my favorite movie is, and I'll have the conversation with them of like, man, I wish you had some of the films I had when I was younger because I feel like you guys are just missing something. But it's funny because a week ago I'm at my job and a kid mentioned Terrifier and I just kind of started chuckling to myself and I was like, that's how you know. Like if I'm hearing about it at work like in over and over again. But they're like Art the Clown and Terrifier, that's something new. That's something like for a slasher I haven't seen in a while. I don't want
Yeah.
a Freddy reboot. I think Jason is long overdue, personally, and
Yeah.
also like he's one of my favorite characters, and I think that you can redo that the right way. Hopefully, if the right people get their hands on it. Cough, cough, your people and you and the Terrifier team. I would be so happy if all you guys got hands in on that. But I think Art the Clown and Terrifier is something new, and even Stream, which I wanted to segue into, which I watched 2 weeks ago and I thought was awesome. Like,
Oh,
where did you
thank you.
come up with the idea for that movie? And also, you have an all-star cast in that film, by the way.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, so I hopped onto it after the script was written. And so it was Michael Levy, Jason Levy, Steve Della Sala, and Robert Patricia that wrote it. And I mean, they really wanted to make something that was, that really uh was a different concept, but also something that was super fun, but also could be super scary. And here's the thing: we shot that movie during COVID, so we shot it. That was one of the first films that you could actually shoot in person. So we shot my film Dark Offerings right when COVID hit, and we shot the whole thing through Zoom. And we were like, this might be the way you make movies now, is doing Zoom. And so this was like almost, it was so therapeutic for all of us, and it was like one of the coolest experiences. Like we were literally quarantined in a hotel in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and we would be there for like 6 weeks shooting this thing. And every morning we would literally wake up, walk into the hallway, and be shooting. Like that was our set.
Wow.
And but like you wake up like, oh, Jeffrey Combs is here. Oh, Daniel Harris is here. Oh, like Mark Holton is here. Like the amount of insanity that went on this set. It was like a once in a lifetime experience. I mean, I've never had so much fun in, making a film. And like it's watching Damien Leone work with the special effects with Phil and everything like that. It's incredible to watch. I mean, I'll never forget. It was like day 5, I think. I forget what day it was, and we had done. We were just finishing up killing Dave Sheridan in the arcade scene,
Great
and
scene.
oh, thank you. And it was basically Damien had to like punch hair and do the head and all that stuff. And like, we had shot everything else out. So basically Michael's like, okay, listen, guys, like, we only need like Steve and Damien for this, so like anyone that wants to go upstairs and go to sleep, by all means. I mean, we were already pushing like a 20-hour day at that point. So, the whole crew goes upstairs, we all start drinking, hanging out. 3 hours go by, we're just chilling. And then we see them coming down the hall, and we're just like, we're like, all right, yeah, sure, why not? We'll go downstairs. I go into the room, and the entire crew is there. Nobody was required to be there. Nobody had to be there, but every single person on that crew was in that room. And I looked around, I'm like, well, I was like, because I've been on so many sets
Yeah.
where, it's like if they're not getting paid, they're gone. Like I've seen G&E teams that are like, all right, and they pull the fucking plug, 12 hours in, and the movie just stops shooting because they're like, fuck you, you're not giving us overtime, all that crap. So this was like such a beautiful, serene moment. And I was like, this is something more than just um like just like a run of the mill film. And I think it translates into the film because there's so much love being made from behind the scenes. It's horror fans making a horror film for horror fans, so, and the cast, everybody was incredible. I mean, Stream was, we're hoping that all we're hoping for is people to enjoy it, to dig it. We're working on the sequel right now. I've hopped onto the writing team for that. So, let's, if it does well enough, there'll be a sequel. And we got some crazy fucking shit that we can, that we're planning already.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine what an all-star part two cast would look like with the cast you guys had in part one. The tic-tac-toe kill scene was so cool. I don't know if you have any backstory to that one, but as that scene was like being played out in front of me, I was like, why has it taken so long for somebody to think of that? Like, I was almost sitting there going, why haven't I thought of that? Like, that's genius.
The tic-tac-toe thing has become a fan favorite. That and Sheridan's kill. Those two are like everyone's favorite kills. When we shooting that scene was crazy because basically you'd shoot like a line on the guy's chest, him scream, and then he'd walk away. And then and then Damien would have to like spend like an hour like doing like another slash. Then he'd come back, we'd shoot for another 5 minutes, then he'd go away again. So we were like on, off, on, off, on, off. Um, we definitely had a lot of fun with that kill. Actually, there's a little tidbit. There's a picture floating around. I forget who. I think it was Jackie, Jackie Hughes who posted it. So we were shooting pickups for special effects for my film. I Want Your Skin. And we also were shooting a couple of pickups or inserts for Stream at the same time. And Steve Delasala, who's the DP for both, we needed to have Liana's hand, like met the shot like where they bash the nail into the guy's hand.
Yeah.
That's not Liana. That's actually Steve Delasala, and they had to put the neon fingernails onto him, which is hilarious to watch him. So I don't know who. I think it was either Jay or it was Michael that came up with the tic tac toe. But that even while we were shooting that, we're like, people are gonna really dig this kill. Like we knew certain kills where people were gonna dig. And that was definitely one of them. There was a lot of time and effort, and you know, yeah, I that. So it's like I always ask people what their favorite kills were because we want to know what people want more of with the sequel or less of with the sequel. So more like tic tac toe is really what it seems to be coming down to.
Yeah, because it's creative and it's something that like I don't think anybody's ever seen before, obviously. Um, I wanted to ask, once again, doing my research, from what you're working on going forward, is Night of the Living Dead 2? Did I see that correctly? Or
So yeah, so I shot a sizzle, and we're still working on it, with the cast of Day of the Dead. So I'm one of my very close friends, is Terry Alexander, who played John in in Day of the Dead. He was the Jamaican pilot. So Terry has been in almost every one of my films. He's in Last Call. He's in Dark Offerings. He's in Stream. He's in anything I do. I have a Terry Alexander clause, so he has to be in it. And he always finds that very, very, very funny whenever I say it don't do. um, but so we shot this sizzle. We got Lori, Terry, and Giles reunited for the first time in 35 years. At the time, and we had Dana Ashbrook from Twin Peaks, and Jeremiah Bitsui from Breaking Bad, in it as well. We shot it. It's like 16 minutes. We're working on getting it fully funded so we can actually shoot it as a feature. But we've just been, it's all about the money. You know what I mean? It's like the story itself is strong and it's like a quasi sequel, but it was only in name only. And unfortunately, the Night of the Living Dead rights, like to the title, is some of the most convoluted, insane things I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like, this person owns this person owns that. You can say Night of the, but you can't say Living Dead. Like, John Russo owns Living Dead. That's why all of his sequels are Return of the Living Dead, and that's why Romero's sequels were all Dawn of the Dead, you know. So it's like there's so much stuff that you can and can't do. So we've removed the name Night of the Living Dead. We're currently trying to shop it around and see if we can get that funded and as like Island of the Dead type of deal. And yeah, I mean, it's the script. We have a script. It's a great script. David Howard Thornton was in it. He played a giant, fat bloated zombie.
That's amazing.
Um, oh yeah, yeah. If you type in David Howard Thornton, I Live and Dead, you'll see pictures of him.
Oh man, that's cool. Is there anything like other than that? Obviously, that's something you're currently working on. Is there a original like title that you want to take on, or anything that maybe you're like, I want to get my hands in that, like a Friday or something of the sort?
So 1,000%. I mean, like I'm such a huge Evil Dead fan. I mean, I would do anything with anything Evil Dead. I mean, I think Evil Dead is one of the greatest franchise, horror franchises out there, Um, but also like for me, if I had to reboot something, there's a movie that I love that I know is not a perfect movie. I know it's a lot of people consider it bad. I still think it's a classic, even though they never finished it. But I would love, and I've been trying to get my hands on the rights to Neon Maniacs.
Okay.
Um, because to me, it's such a batshit insane film. And like they just ran out of money. That's why the movie just ends. There's supposed to be a whole third act that I talked to somebody who worked on it and told me the whole third act, and they were like, "Yeah, they just cut it, so it just ends." And I'm like, that ending would have been great. It would have been that film would have still been talked about today, I believe. So I've been trying to get that. I mean, I'm also so I've written two other scripts for that are original scripts. One with Damien Maffei from The Strangers, who's in most of my stuff also. And he I was talking to him earlier, and he said if I just don't say his name right, um, but it's Damien Maffei. Um, so it's like a New York City giallo, basically about a slasher called the Identity Killer that takes people's faces, basically. Um, yeah, and then I have another one. So the film I just finished with Damien Maffei, it's a sizzle for Errors of Terror, which is a horror anthology, but it's also I want to turn this one into a feature called I Want Your Skin, and it's about the skinless creature that chases a girl through Chinatown saying he wants her skin. Um, so I have a full script for that too that we're trying to like get funded and stuff like that about, this basically it's like John Carpenter's The Thing meets Sam Raimi's Dark Man, type of deal. So I've been dying to jump into that. Like I'm a creature feature guy. Like I love creature features. Like yes, Victor Salva's a piece of shit, but I think Jeepers Creepers is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
Jeepers Creepers is a great movie.
it's that movie scared the fuck out of me when I saw
Right.
it in the theaters, and I think the Creeper is such a creative character, and I don't think we get creature features anymore. Like, and that's something that like I think is, like I think is missing. I think, like you look at like a film like Pumpkinhead, and that is such a great creature movie. The creatures is interesting and weird. And I think there's so much to creatures that you can pull out and stuff. And I would love to make a creature feature, and that's kind of what I Want Your Skin is kind of. It's kind of a creature feature um type of film. Um that is, obviously extremely gory because it's all about him taking people's skin off. So,
Yeah.
um, so every kill is brutal. Um, but yeah, and I just did another film um, called Sundown, which is a found footage horror film that we're currently finishing up. I was directing it with the writer Brian Klingborn, and Damien Maffei stars in it, and it's got Emily Sweet from Eight Eyes and Castle Freak.
Nice.
And we just shot that on like a tiny, it's like real independent, tiny budget. But it was like a 10-day shoot where we shot upstate in New York, in Saugerties in a house, and it was just we knew we were like we had like it was going to be challenging. It was very ambitious to do it, but I am so proud of this film. I'm so happy about this film. I think we made something special. I think it's got some really creepy moments. I think the cast absolutely killed it, and I think it's going to be something we're hoping comes out next year. And a lot of people, we're hoping that a lot of people that like Stream and Terrifier will check it out, even though this is not a gory film. It's a lot more character based.
Yeah.
But that same fun, love, and feel is still in this. So, we're yeah.
And that's aimed for a next year release. That would be on like Prime and stuff like that.
We're hoping. We're trying to see right now. So right now it's a rough cut is almost done being made. We have some pickups to do. Actually for an extreme gore shot. And then we're gonna try to like the goal is to have it come out next year. Whether that happens, I can't really say, but you never know with release dates. I mean, Terrifier 2 was coming out for like 6 years. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that kept getting pushed a lot. When you're making these movies, and whether you're editing or you're on set filming, do you have a memory of maybe it was like a really stressful moment, like maybe it was a kill scene or something, but in the end it was like worth the struggle in the finished product?
Oh, they all are. I mean, so I want your skin, spoilers, but the sizzle ends with a girl getting skinned. And we did this whole degloving, and and I always am very I'm so my dad brought me up, my mom brought me up with horror films. My dad brought me up with action movies, Charles Bronson, all that stuff. My best friend Mark would always, like he's an action kung fu fanatic, so we would always watch all that stuff. So I love fight sequences,
Yeah,
So like I always try to put fight sequences, realistic fight sequences in the film. So the ending of Skin is a brutal fight. This girl trying to survive and it obviously doesn't go well, but like that was what was supposed to be a one night shoot turned into like 3-4 days of shooting.
wow.
Just because of how intricate everything was. And it was a very, very brutal shoot, but like looking at the footage, you're like, oh yeah, it's all worth it. I mean, whenever you're dealing with special effects or you're dealing with any of this stuff, you never know what's going to happen. You never ever know. With blood, with special effects, it doesn't matter. They could work on the first try, or you could spend 45, days trying to figure it out. Well, obviously, if you're shooting for 45 days on one thing, you're probably doing something wrong. Um, but yeah, I mean, and almost every single kill, I mean, I've ever done, it's like so stressful how to do it. I have this old film called The Break-In. It was one of the first shorts I did, and this character gets killed with a corkscrew. Um, and we shot it, and it was and it's funny because you don't realize, you, me, like all the horror fans, we're all desensitized,
Yeah.
you know. And I'll never ever forget this screening. So we screened this movie. So like I'm desensitized. So like to me, watching like gore, it does nothing for me. I'm like, okay, let's get more, let's get more. But to the average moviegoer, it doesn't. Like they can't handle it. So this was a very hard sequence. Basically, this guy's in the kitchen and the killer's there, and he sees them over the fridge, and they have this like quick back and forth fight, and he goes to yell upstairs to the girl that's upstairs, and the killer grabs a corkscrew and stabs him right in the throat, right in his voice box, so he can't scream. And we did it all as one shot, and then like all the blood starts pouring out of his mouth and everything like that, and it's so graphic. And I remember shooting it being like, oh my God, like how the fuck are we ever pulling this off? We're behind on the day. I was stressing, but the instant we got that shot, it's like the camera just pans or like dollies over as his arm hits it, and it hits so perfectly, and the blood spews and all that stuff. I was like, all right, we got this. And it was, we did a screening of it, and in New York, there's a lot of different, like screening rooms and stuff like that. And they don't really care whose films are in there. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna put this slice of life movie with this graphic horror film. So we had four filmmakers. I was one of them, and it was three like little like happy-go-lucky little films, right? Nothing graphic, nothing crazy. I think the most graphic one was like somebody like had like a bloody nose. And then the breaking comes on, and I had a one of the crew from Breaking showed up, shit faced drunk.
Oh,
Um, oh yeah, and they let him in, and I was like, okay, but like he was like very bad drunk.
uh,
Um,
somebody
and
got to ruin a good time.
oh yeah, so he's down there. We're in the basement. It's hot. I'll never forget this. And like the audience is all ready because the break-in also had a graphic sex scene. No actual nudity, but it was like this was not the crowd for this.
Yeah,
So everyone's
yeah.
already uncomfortable. And then the kill happens and people are squirming. Like one person's like, "Oh, this is too much," and like got up and stormed off.
Yeah.
Um, and right after the guy gets killed and he's laying in the blood, I do this calm, quiet pushing on this guy's face, and the guy just projectile vomits on one of the people that I brought.
Oh
It was this
no.
girl that I guest spoke at a class. She's like, I'm gonna come down and support. I'm gonna bring my date.
Oh my God,
I
no.
didn't even know she was like just being like a nice human being, and she gets puked on because of it. And at the end, when I was there, like they brought everybody up, and they're like the person was like, oh yeah, this is oh, your film was blah 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 blah, the intricacies and blah blah blah, and said it to everybody, this whole like big speech, and looks at me and goes, so Breaking, that was a film.
Oh
I was
my,
like, uh, but you look at it and you have to realize that not every crowd is going to be the crowd for that film or for this film or for this film. And at the end of the day, you if you're only making films, it's like I make films that I want to see the way I want to see them, I don't care if 1,000 people see them. I don't care if, do I want tons and tons and tons of people to see them? Yes. But for me, horror was a way for me to escape. So if someone can watch a film of mine and escape, then I am content and I'm happy. So like whenever you shoot a scene and someone comes up to you after all the hell that you've done and all the battles you fought, like, I mean, I've had everything happen from like an editor stealing our film for 6 months and going to Italy to like everything. I, and someone comes up to you and goes, yo, that was great. That's the moment that you're like, it was all worth it. Every single second. And it could be one person that said it. I mean, I've had couple, quite a few people. One person recently to watch Break In and was just like, wow, that kill was fucking amazing. And that was like, that's all I needed. You know what I mean? So all the stress, all the bad times that have happened, um, it's all worth it. It's worth every single painful 20-hour, 28-hour day.
I was gonna say like that's what a true artist does though. Like they make things that they want to see, and I think the cherry on top for like anybody that makes a movie or anybody that makes a song, it is giving the fan an escape from reality for whether that's 20 minutes, 2 hours, or 5 minutes. Now, I'm
Yeah.
just a guy with a podcast from the Bronx, but I do some YouTube videos with my friends and locally in the neighborhood and a little bit of reach outside of New York, getting a message of like, oh, this beer pong video that you guys have like made my day. And it's just us playing beer pong with stupid dares. Like, that's always like made me as like this dude from the Bronx that's trying to create with his friends for fun. That's always like been like cool. Like I made somebody's day better. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, that's all we try to do. You know what I mean? And it's like, the one thing I tell everybody and is like I got the best advice early in my career. I used to do interviews and reviews and stuff like this. I used to do this type of thing, but we didn't have the internet. And I got to interview George A. Romero. way back in the day. And one of the bits of advice was, he was like, it was that Rock and Shock horror convention. He's chain smoking cigarettes inside, and he's just, I said, what advice do you have for independent filmmakers? And we had a camera on him from over here, and he just goes, back when I did Night of the Living Dead, we didn't have the accessibility of cameras. Like you had to plan it 3 weeks in advance and rent the camera and make sure it was all good and get the film stock and blah blah blah. It's like now, now you just have that point and shoot. He's just like, he goes, what's my advice? He just said it, you know, just go out and do it. Just go out and fucking do it. Grab a friend, grab a camera, make it. If it sucks, look at why it sucks and figure out how to do it better, you know? And I think anybody that wants to be creative and wants to do anything should never be afraid to do it. I always say, like, there's the only thing that's stopping you from doing a video, doing a short, doing anything is yourself. Like, you don't need tons of money. We shot Sundown, a horror feature, for 30K. The original Terrifier was shot for like less than 50K. Like, that's nothing. That is peanuts. Like, if you really break it down, like, you know, does money help? Yes, but also with money comes more problems. So, it's like, if you're going to, do anything or you want to do anything, just do it, like, and hearing that you do stuff, that's awesome, man. You got to keep doing it, and you got to do it to make yourself happy.
Thank you, man. It's funny because one of the questions I had was advice to anybody out there, or including myself, about just creating in general. And that's what I just keep trying to do. I just keep trying to go for it. And like, it's funny because as of recently, I noticed that maybe we were doing a little too much of something. Like,
Yeah.
we have this like beer pong video series that we've been doing for years with dares. And like, I'm finally like, this thing has run its course a lot. Like, people like it, but I think it's time to like
Yeah.
put like the bow on it. But I've had like this moment of clarity over the past few months while podcasting of just like, oh, like it's cool because I get to look back at it and look at like what videos I thought might have sucked, and then look at what videos I thought were really good, but just still be proud of the process from then to now.
No, 100%. And that's what you got to do with that. Like, I'll look at some of my old student films and I'm like, holy shit, wow, okay. But like, I also look at it and I'm like, you didn't, back then, that's what you were trying to do. You were trying new things. And it also tells you, like, always try new stuff. Try that crazy shot that nobody, that everyone's like, dude, there's no way we're doing it. And you'll get it. I always put some impossible shot into a film, that I'm always like, there's no fucking way we're getting this. There's absolutely no way we're going to get this. And every single time, somehow, some way, we get it. And I'm like, it's you look back at all those, and also you also got to look at it this way. It's you, it's your friends, it's stuff that, like, 10, 15 years from now, you're going to go back to those videos, and those are beautiful memories, not just of what's going on in the video, but of making the video. Some of the best memories I have, I mean, like, I call them my family. Like, the Terrifier family is my family. They are the most loyal group of, like, just great guys. You know what I mean? Like, and they're just I've I'm grateful for all that. But it's like, I look at the amazingness of all the films we've all done together, but I also look at the making of all the films that we've done together. Like, Last Call was the first time I worked with Steve Della Sala, and I had been working art department. I was dealing with all the set safety stuff, and I was like being overly safe because I handle guns and I handle weapons. So we have this scene with this guy's holding a bow and arrow, and he shoots a bow and arrow. So we're doing it the ultra safe way, where it's like I have him pull back with the arrow, and then we say hold, and I was just gonna cut away to something, and then he takes the arrow, throws it on the ground, and just lets go. And Steve just goes, This looks like shit. Why are we doing this? I'm like, well, because of the arrow. We have to shoot the arrow. And he's just like, So why don't we just shoot the fucking arrow? So we put up like a Fernie blanket. We got everybody, on the opposite side, and bam, shot. And it was like, oh, like it was like little things like that you really are like, oh yeah, like it's just great memories that you have with people, and you'll go, if you do love this and you want to do more of this, like you will find other things that you will progress into. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. That's why I love doing podcasting too, because I can talk to somebody like you or Samantha or David and like just kind of learn as I'm doing the interview. It's like I love doing this stuff, but I am also like, oh, this is almost like free life lessons too.
Yeah.
But would you say is that one of your favorite memories? Like, do you have a favorite memory while making a film where you're like, oh man, like this is like unreal for me, like a moment that's like surreal?
I think
Other than telling Christopher Nolan that DC sucks compared to Marvel?
uh
Because that's
I
pretty fucking cool.
no, that one's pretty sick. I think I don't know if I have like an all-time like greatest memory ever. I think there's so many great ones. Like I've been fortunate enough, like we wrapped shooting that sizzle on one of my birthdays. And I had like out of nowhere the cast of Day of the Dead, and like, I'm a ridiculous. If you go to my Instagram and you go on my stories, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be stuff about streams, stuff about Terrifier, stuff about Sundown, stuff about any of my films, Blink 182 videos,
Nice.
and Breaking Bad scenes, and or Charles Bronson. And so getting to work with somebody from Breaking Bad was insanely cool, and like having that be like a birthday moment, where they all came out with the cake and everything. That was really cool. I mean, I think it's hard to pick a favorite all-time memory because there's just so many great moments, that it's hard just to pick one, I guess I'd say. Smoking cigarettes with Elijah Wood on the movie Revenge of Jolly was a blast.
That's cool.
Um, he was cool as hell. Getting to meet Henry Winkler on the set of Here Comes the Boom,
Nice.
who was a sweetheart, and I told him I loved him as the Fonz, and he was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Geek the fuck out."
Here Comes the Boom.
Um,
That's the Kevin James UFC movie, right? That movie's
yeah,
awesome.
so I just did a set visit there. My cousin sound mixed it. And my cousin Anton, so he just also recently, we were actually battling at the box office with each other. He sound mixed Smile 2, um, which I still have yet to see. And
I
he's
haven't
mad at
seen it
me.
yet either, to be honest.
I have to, I still have to see the first one. I I've heard good things about both films, so I just have not had time to go to the movies at all. I mean, I have like stacks and stacks of movies that are right here. Well, I always have stacks and stacks of movies I want to watch films, but it's like abnormal lately because I just had not had time to watch anything.
Yeah, I get
So
that. I made time specifically to go see Terrifier 3. Like me and my friends were like, we don't care, we're gonna go see this. And then like I haven't seen Smile 2, I haven't seen Venom 3. I'm like, I'll get to it hopefully at some point.
I'm good
Yeah,
on Venom 3. I'm good on Venom.
yeah, I don't know what we're doing with no Spider-Man. I could get into a whole 20-minute rant about that.
I just saw that trailer and I was like, if I looked up the word identity crisis in like the dictionary, that was that trailer. I didn't know if it wanted to be a serious final movie in a trilogy, if it wanted to be a goofy comedy, if it wanted to be like, like a Will Ferrell movie, if it wanted to be a buddy cop movie. I had no idea what I was like. I just seen 7 genres.
In one
Chris
trailer.
Cross into
Do you
So
think that's another problem that big budget movies may have? Because me and my cousin say this all the time. We watch trailers for things now, and we're like, yo, like half the movie is in the goddamn trailer.
oh, that's the reason why I will not watch trailers. So like Edgar Wright, I love Edgar Wright. I could go on for hours about why Edgar Wright is the greatest filmmaker that we have currently alive. Um, But when he did last night in Soho, um, he released two trailers. The first trailer he released shows nothing. It just hints at things, and you still don't know if it's a giallo, if it's a ghost story, if it's a musical. You have no idea what the fuck this movie was. And then the studio's like, well, we want to make our fucking money, so we need the movie explained. So Edgar Wright wrote, we are releasing the trailer tomorrow. There's two ways to see this film. You can either go in the dark and only watch the first trailer and go in blind, which is the way that I want you to go in, or see what it's all about and going in the light. And I was like, that is a beautiful way to do it because, like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I'll never forget this. My rings keep smacking onto my table by mistake. So that's what that loud banging is. They showed the ending in the teaser where like what's his name? The raccoon is like, is on there about the bomb with Groot. And it's the opening shot of the trailer is like him arguing, being like, no, don't push the red button. And everything blows up. And he's like, I'm Groot. And I'm in the whole movie, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, when the fuck is this scene?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's in the final 10 minutes of the fucking movie. I'm like, why are you showing anything from there? Like to me, I think what it is studios put so much into these movies now, they have to do whatever they can to guarantee the box office to come back, and I think that's why they don't just rely, it's like back in the day, you could just rely on a name,
Yeah.
but currently there's only one actor alive, currently one actor on the planet who is a guaranteed box office. Do you know who that is?
I want to say it, but I feel like he's been bombing recently, so I might be wrong.
No, go ahead, say.
I was gonna say The Rock, but I feel like he hasn't been
No,
lately.
this guy's never had a single flop. And this is why I always say, unless you have this guy in your film doesn't guarantee anything. And that person is Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah, Denzel's never made anything bad ever.
No, and here's the thing: like, I wasn't a fan of Equalizer 3, and I think 2 was all right, but they all made stupid money. Denzel is a guaranteed box office hit. So unless you have Denzel in your movie, there's no way to guarantee. Marvel's been bombing. Everyone bombs. So it's like it went from like back in the day being like, oh, we're just gonna do a sequel to the movie, you know, to well, now we're gonna do a requel to the movie and we're gonna, do this. And then it's like, well, look, now it's a sequel with A-list actors. Plus, we're gonna bring back the original cast. Plus, we're going to throw in all the nostalgia of everything that you've ever loved from the originals. It's like the problem with Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is the fact that it is three separate fucking movies,
Yeah.
and instead of just relying, like I loved Afterlife. I thought Afterlife was a great film. I had just lost my father, so watching that fucking movie destroyed me at the end. That was, I don't want to spoil, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the problem was like with this next one, like you could have had a movie on its own with Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson discussing being too old and trying to see if they still want to be Ghostbusters or if they want to move on with their life and having to fight. And it's like their stuff was thrown in there just to be pushed along. And it was like, you guys could have made a whole movie with that. Or you should have just focused on the family that you were pushing in the last one. But instead, it was like you're focusing on those characters. You're focusing on Dan Aykroyd and like all the cast from the original and everybody. They literally almost resurrected Harold Ramis again. Um, and then you have this whole other all these new characters. It's too many characters in a 90-minute movie,
Oh
you
my God.
know?
I feel that way about the MCU Spider-Man stuff. Like I love the No Way Home for nostalgia, but I'm also like I just want my friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I don't need 70 characters in a Spider-Man movie, please. Like
That's how I feel Marvel. See, now Marvel's just throwing everybody in there, and I feel like
yeah.
that's been the problem is it's too much. Like I love Sam Raimi, and you could tell Sam Raimi when Sam Raimi was allowed to be Sam Raimi with Doctor Strange too.
Yeah.
He basically got made $100 million Evil Dead 4. And it was great. But every time, Marvel was like, no, you got to do this, you got to do that. The movie sucked. Like, I'm
Yep.
sorry, but like, I didn't need like you have your opening time and dimensions and alternate realities, and you don't do any of the jokes. Like you don't get Tom Cruise to play Tony Stark or like anything. You don't utilize this all. You just have Professor Xavier show up and who looked, don't get me wrong, I love Patrick Stewart, but he had the perfect fucking finale, a perfect finale, swan song with Logan, and you
Yeah.
bring him back to have him basically be like this weird cameo. It was none of it worked. And I hate that they keep doing it. It was like, why? I mean, even the newest Deadpool, which I think had great moments, but I think is 100% the weakest of the three. And even Ryan Reynolds even made the joke. He even
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, can we please stop with all this alternate universe crap?"
Yeah,
Like,
it's too much, and I'm like such a big nerd and comic book guy, but I feel like it's almost oversaturated at this point. Like, I don't want 700 characters in the movies, and I'm a big Batman fan too, and I'm almost like, there's a part of me that's like, the Batman to me was so good that I'm almost
yeah,
like, I don't know if I even want a second one. I'm like, I don't even know, like, just leave it alone. Like,
I'll say this: the Batman. Damien. It was actually Damien and I have had long talks about that movie. That movie is one of the greatest fucking movies that came out. I think that I've never been so enthralled when the fucking Batmobile came on. Like they did everything
yeah.
fucking right with that. And at first, the first 5 minutes of that movie, I was like, is
Yeah,
he
oh,
really gonna be
Sam.
this
Yeah.
emo? Like whatever. And then I'm like, and it clicked. I'm like, fuck me, no, this is what Batman should be. He shouldn't be this happy bon vivant like that's going around celebrating everything, being like, oh my god, yeah, look at me, I'm like a Rockefeller. It's like, no, he should be like this introverted, dark person that they're like, no, well, Mr. Wayne, you need to go out. You have this event that you are the host of, and he's like, no, I'm not leaving. Like, I fucking loved the choices that they made with that. And I think the Riddler was great. I really wish they didn't throw in the Joker again.
I know.
I
Oh
think it
man.
we're we're jokered out. Like and here's the thing: Joker's a great character, but the problem is we've had 7 versions of the Joker, and we need him to just go away, do his thing. Like we don't need the Joker. You don't need to only rely on the Joker. You know,
Batman has such a rogues gallery of villains that they're like forgetting a Mr. Freeze or a Deathstroke or like we could name
and nobody
off
wants
so
to
many.
tackle any of these guys because they all want to be grounded in reality. Because basically, Nolan's formula worked perfectly, so they kept it grounded. So he didn't want the Penguin, he didn't want Mr. Freeze or Poison Ivy or any of these. And this feels like it's grounded in reality. I haven't seen the Penguin show, so I have no idea what else. But
Either.
just I just feel that like Matt Reeves has done some great stuff. And James Gunn, I think, is one of the best writers that we have out there currently. I think he is brilliant. I think his scripts. I think that guy knows how to do ensemble casts and keep it fresh and strong. I think he can guide the universe. At least I'm hoping. Everyone's giving him shit for Joker Folly or whatever the fuck. But he had nothing. He wasn't allowed anywhere near it. I call that film the Todd Phillips special of get me the fuck out of my contract because I don't want to make these movies.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty
like
much.
he hates doing sequels. If you watch Hangover, which I fucking love, I think is a great movie.
Love Hangover.
And then he made stupid money, so the studio's like, make a second one. And he's like, I don't want to. And they're like, well, make a second one. He goes, fine, fuck you. I'm gonna make this movie. I'm gonna be so cruel and brutal to these characters that it's gonna bomb. And it made even more money. But if you watch that film, he is so mean to the characters. Like
Yeah.
it's not even like funny mean. Like he's not nice to them in the first, but like at least it's in good humor for the most part. Like, but the second has so many moments where I'm just like this is just mean spirited. And the third as well. Like, let's not even go there. I mean, like he just doesn't want to do sequels. That's how it was with this. I still haven't seen it. I've only seen the clip of Joaquin Phoenix dancing, and I've heard the rules that Todd Phillips put down. I'm like, yeah, he just didn't want to fucking do it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not gonna be one of those guys that's gonna say I'm never gonna watch it, but as a Batman fan, I'm almost like, what's the point in me going to, well, like, taking the time out of my life? Look, I think you and I can both agree, and I'm sure David, if he ever sees this clip, will get a kick out of it. We all know who should play the Joker. I just think the proof is in the pudding, man. Give it a few years, and Hollywood needs to make the right call.
We'll see what happens. I mean, right now we have, I think right now there is such a crisis going on with superhero movies because I do believe it is fatigue. I think
Yeah,
everyone's tired of them. I tapped out
same.
once they started getting greedy and started being like, well, you have to watch these 6 shows
Yeah, it's too
to
much.
like understand what's going on. I tapped out. I'm like, I don't have the time. I'm not. And I think that's what they need to realize is you have to look at your audience. You have to look at the people that are going to see your films. Well, guess what? The people that were watching you from the beginning that supported you the whole way through, sure, you're going to bring your kids to see those movies. But the problem is, like we were young. We were able to go see Iron Man 6, 7, 8 times. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it's teenagers really that fill the audience, And but now there's such a plethora of stuff out there with that and so much content. Everyone just sits at home and watches movies. They don't do the theaters as much anymore. That like they're just burnt. So it's like you're not, I know personally a movie has to be absolutely in fucking incredible for me to be able to see it more than once. I just can't. I
yeah.
just don't have the time. Like, this year I've spent more time in hotels and Airbnbs than I have in my own place. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, um, uh, I just don't have the ability to do it. Um, and I wish I did. I really do. But what I will say is, like I think that it's the same thing with horror. I think you always have to adapt. You have to adapt to what's out there. You have to adapt to things. That's why you have to find what scares people, like, and that's the way to tap into people. That's a way to make things work. You know what I mean? Um, like, yeah, my brain just shut off for a second. I have no idea what I was saying, but
No,
yeah.
it's cool. No, I totally get what you're saying. It takes a lot for me to go to the movies too, and I probably have more time than you. You're a really busy guy, but yeah, Terrifier 3, and then before that, Deadpool and Wolverine, and before that, I can't even tell you what I saw. Like,
Yeah, I think it
uh,
was what the hell? Well, what did I even see
maybe
this year?
Scream. I probably saw the last Scream movie before that.
I definitely saw last Scream. I actually love that Scream.
I love
Um,
the Scream movies. The last one I felt was better than the previous before it.
I hated part 5.
Yeah.
I spoilers again, but I think the biggest mistake in that they fucking made was killing off Dewey.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's so stupid that you killed off Dewey, who was the fan favorite. Requels have this trend of trying to shock you by killing off a fan favorite character, like Force Awakens killing off Han Solo, like all these films that do that. And I'm just like, there's no like to me, Dewey was the heart and soul of Scream.
Yeah.
Um, you know, you had a character that died every fucking film, and he kept coming back, and nobody wanted to see Dewey die. Nobody wants to see that. And to me, the fact that Courtney Cox's character, Gale Weathers, has not been fucking killed off, who's even in part 6, to me, I think they just needed to rely on their new characters. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't need Courtney. What was she there for? To do what? To recycle the same
The
witty
same exact
dialogue
thing.
that she's recycled in the past 5 fucking movies and to do nothing but almost die yet again. I was like, all right, this movie's got balls. Like they're gonna kill her off. All right, let's see. And then she's like, I'm fine. I'm like, oh, come on,
I
kill
know
off
you.
Gale Weathers.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think even with that movie, we're all waiting for the same thing to happen in that franchise, and
I just don't think that they'll ever do it.
yeah,
I think that they'll keep her around forever, and I think that they'll keep. I mean, Nev Cam. You know what I mean? It's like they probably look at Halloween Resurrection killing off Laurie Strode and being like, well, that was a big fucking mistake, so they'll never kill him off. But then that also makes it so that like the as Joe Bob Briggs said, the number one rule about horror is that anybody can die at any time.
yeah,
And Scream 2, which I think is a fantastic sequel, um, killing off Randy was such a smart move because it was a character from the first that everybody fucking loved, that everyone thought was going to survive, and you murking him the way you did made it go, oh my God, now anybody can fucking die.
yeah,
It made me believe that. Now I'm like, everyone's got bulletproof armor. Like, no one's gonna fucking die. Like the new Scream, I know Sydney's not going to die. I know Courtney's not going to die. I know they're not going to kill off her daughter. I know that they're not. So I'm like, where's the fear? Where's the horror aside from just, seeing the same people playing the same roles? But I feel like my thing is this: if you're going to bring people back, they need to have a purpose for being there. It can't just be like, what's up?
yeah,
If they have a role, like to me, the best requel of all time, and I still stand by this, because not only did this do that, but it also swapped like everything. You know what I mean? Like it went from being like an Italian guy to, an African American guy, which was Creed. And people always like, oh, I don't want to see the female version. I don't want to see, the black version. I don't want to see the Asian version. To me, Creed was such a beautiful continuation and reboot slash requel to the Rocky series. And I think it stood on its own. I think it made sense. And Rocky being in that
oh yeah,
made sense. He wasn't just there. He wasn't just there to be like, hey, look, we got Sylvester Stallone back. It was like, no, you got Sylvester Stallone, Rocky there because he is needed to tell the story. Sidney Prescott and Gail Weathers were not needed to tell the story in Scream 5, and they're
yeah,
not needed in Scream 6. You know, Alan Grant is not needed in Jurassic World Dominion. These people are not needed in these films, but they put them in there because, oh, well, you want to see them as their characters, and it's just like, the only thing it did with Jurassic World Dominion was make me realize how much more charisma those three had with shitty dialogue than our two leads. And don't get me wrong, I like Chris Pratt. I'm not one of those thousand people that, those millions of people that hate him for whatever reason. But
yeah,
like, I just, by the third one, he had no character. What was his fucking character? Oh, I have a mutant daughter that's half dinosaur or whatever the fuck it was, and they're kidnapping her. And I don't know, I'm riding motorcycles with raptors. I'm like, well, what even is this?
yeah.
Like,
It's weird shit. I think they'll probably keep Scream going for as long as they can, but I don't know like if this is like from a weird fucked up fan perspective, but even with Halloween Ends, like I wanted the ending of that franchise to be Michael killing Laurie, and I said it for years before that movie even came out. I said he needs to walk off into the sunset with her head in his hand. I said that's how I want it to end. For me as a Scream fan, I've said this on other episodes of the show with my friends before. I just want Matthew Lillard to come back and kill her, and I don't find the cops can shoot him at the end of whatever. I don't care. I'm like, for me, I think it would be a cool swan song because I don't think the hero in horror needs to win all the time.
oh,
I
I
don't know
agree
if
with
that
you
says
on
something
that.
screwed up with me, but like,
No, there's something about, the hero sacrificing themselves, you know, um, for that. And I think that's imperative. I think without that, number one, there's always a way to bring them back, unfortunately, and if you think that's the last time Jamie Lee Curtis is going to play Laurie Strode, you're greatly mistaken. When whatever next incantation comes out and bombs, and they don't, or they make one and it does well, and then the second one bombs, Then they're going to go back to the drawing board and they're going to say, Jamie, how much money do you want to come back? And then she's going to come back. And it's just going to be the same cycle. I think Halloween Ends would have been a good movie if it was Halloween Returns.
Yeah, if it was called anything other than that.
Yeah. The problem with Halloween Ends and what he did was if you really, he wanted to make films that were like representative of the original. So like Halloween is Halloween, the way that was, but that's the battle with Michael, that battle, that was her battle. That's your big battle that we all thought we were getting in the third one. You weren't getting. Halloween Kills is supposed to be Halloween 2, where it's just ultra gory, all the kills, and Laurie's barely in it. That's what Halloween Kills was. And then Halloween 3, which is Season of the Witch, is supposed to be what this was, where it's really not a Michael Myers movie. And I get that him doing that, and it's an interesting idea and concept, but at the end of the day, you build this as the last time Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, was going to play the role. And to have that be an afterthought is where it fucked up and pissed everybody off. You need it. Look, there
It was
is
blue balls.
yeah, exactly. Look, there is going against expectations and being daring and trying to do something different. And then there's what they did. I mean, it's the same thing with like the Star Wars trilogy. Like I thought Force Awakens it was a safe film that like made you have faith in it. And then Rian Johnson came in and fucked it all up. And then J.J. Abrams, I think it was J.J. Abrams that did Rise of the fucking Shitwalker. And that film was him trying to be like, oh, wait, look, here's all nostalgia shit. Like, don't get me going in those films. Those films, they fucked them up. And the third one, I think, is almost as bad as Last Jedi. But, like, they listen to fans too much, and then they
Yeah.
alter everything, and it just, don't do it. You don't need it. My biggest issue with the Star Wars shit is this. You have a universe. You have a world and a galaxy far, far away to play with. Why the fuck are you going to Han Solo to do a Han Solo movie? Why are you
Yeah.
doing the same 5 characters? We don't need that. The reason why Mandalorian worked for a while was because it was its own thing. It was the first one where you're like, oh, same thing with like Rogue One. I think Rogue One's great.
Dude, Rogue
Because
One is probably my favorite Star Wars movie, and people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that.
so when I went into it, someone told me that movie was supposed like the girl was supposed to be the girl that's in A New Hope when they're all in like the 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 communication room talking about like the plans of the Death Star. So I thought she was supposed to live. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it all connects. So at the end when they're sitting there and like the thing's coming towards them, I'm like, why aren't they moving? How the fuck are they getting out of this? Man, they're not moving. Wait, what? What? Wait, they die? I was so thrown off and so confused. I was blown away. I was like, oh my fucking God. Plus, it's a dark ending to a
Yeah.
Star Wars movie, like dark. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is great. And
Hence,
then we got The Last Jedi.
hence me saying I feel like the hero doesn't need to win all the time, and I love a good
They
hero
don't.
ending, but you could end it with the villain on top. I'm sure you guys had Chris Jericho in Terrifier 3. He would tell you the bad guy wins sometimes.
Oh no, 100%. I mean, like that's why I used to love, not used to, I still do, but I love John Carpenter. You know what I mean? Like the hero doesn't win. It's all like his shit's dark. Like in the mouth of madness, no one wins. The world fucking gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Everyone dies. They live. The hero dies. Like, I think that they need to be. The problem is the studios come in, they see the franchise ability, they see they see that they can keeping the big names gets them more money in the end. And they know that if they say, well, we have Nev Campbell back in Scream, you're going to go back because you're going to see Nev Campbell. They know that, like, if they say, well, we've got, whoever, you know what I mean? Like, they know you're going to come back. They know you're going to see it. They know that, like, he, at this day, killing off somebody like that is not what they want to do. Like
Yeah.
they killed Dewey because, it's like they needed to kill somebody to make you fear for everything. But, they didn't want to kill either one of the females because that's like, like it's female empowerment and all that stuff. And they didn't want to kill one of them. And but for the story, it would have suited better. Also, David Arquette loves the series so much, he would have kept coming back and done Scream 17 in fucking space.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, and you fucked up. You killed him. You didn't pay Nev Campbell what she wanted. So she said, go fuck yourself and walked away. And but then again, once again, Scream 6 didn't need her. It was the highest grossing Scream of them all.
100%. Did
Yeah.
to before I wrap up, I did hear you say you were a Blink 182 fan, so I got like three fun questions. Uh,
Oh yes, I'm a huge Blink fan.
sweet. So, first one, your favorite Blink album. Second, your favorite kill in horror movies, and third, your favorite any horror movie that you love to go back and rewatch.
So my favorite Blink album is 100% the Untitled album. It was their breakup album. The whole album is a breakup album. Like that, I think that was when they were, like don't get me wrong, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket is
That's my favorite
incredible.
one.
And see that, yeah, like I love like every track's a banger. Like Dude Ranch, Enema of the State. Like they're all great. And but to me, Untitled, there are so many amazing songs in that just resonate. Like the one that nobody even talks about is the final song on the album, Lost Without You,
That's a great song.
and it's like that song destroys like whenever I have a breakup, I put that on, it destroys me. And I think people don't understand how like that's not only like a breakup song, it's a breakup for the band. It's a breakup for Mark and Travis and Tom's friendship. You know, it's insane. It's to me, it's one of my favorite favorites of theirs. I'd say that. Then I'd probably say Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, Enema of the State, and then I'd say honestly One More Time.
Yeah, it's really good that album.
One More Time, they're I hate whenever they do like part twos and that like most bands whenever they do like I remember Red Hot Chili Peppers, they released two CDs worth of music. And it was like, oh, here's all these songs. And by the way, we're gonna give you all the B-side stuff. And it's like 30 songs and like 10 of them are good.
Yeah,
But Blink's part two, eight so like there's eight new songs, six of them are absolute fucking amazing, including one of them, oh I can't think of the name of it, is like one of my favorites on the whole album. It's like what the fuck, it's like going back or something like that. And I can't go back, something like that, but it's amazing. So yeah, and I just saw them because I only ever saw them in concert when they were plus 44. Because by the time I became a huge Blink fan, they had already broken up, and then plus 44 was around. So like, which I still think is incredible album. They were an
yeah,
incredible band, and there's stuff in there that I'm like, fuck, like you feel Mark's anger towards Tom.
yeah,
Like they really all hated each other, loved each other, hated, and it's so great to see them back together. And it's why it's like to any real Blink fan, One More Time just fucking slaps. It hits so damn hard.
yeah.
But
I
I think that
cried the first
album,
time I heard that song.
oh, same here. And the
Yeah.
music video,
Oh, dude, yeah,
oh my God. And it's like, I think it's a perfect accumulation of their career as artists. And they've gone through so much, Travis almost dying in a plane crash, like Mark with cancer.
yeah,
Um, and they're back together, don't get me wrong, like I liked Matt Skiba in the
yeah,
band. I think I really do dig California. I think Nine is the weakest album of them all.
yeah.
I just It's like like Pin the Grenades, like one of the only good songs on that album. But California, I think had some bangers on it. I mean, Bored to Death is fucking
Such a
it's
great
blank
song.
classic. It is. But I problem is I think Matt Skiba's voice sounded too much like Mark's. And it didn't have that, Blink has always been the high pitched of Tom with like the low of Mark. And that's why they've always like they play so well together. And I feel like Skiba, I don't know. I think Skiba doesn't. I don't think he in. I don't know. I think his stuff was just very. It's very Alkaline Trio ish, if that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
for sure.
You know. But yeah, I could talk Blink all day. But what were the other two questions?
Oh no, it's fine. Oh God, I could talk about music forever too. The other one was your favorite kill in any horror movie, and the most rewatchable horror movie for you personally.
So my favorite kill. Oh my God, there's too many. Um,
It could be your favorite kill right now, like just whatever comes to your head.
um, I mean, I'll be honest. I have to go with a classic. I mean, I think one of the greatest kills of all time is Quint's death in Jaws. I think that,
Nice.
I mean, not even to go on about how Jaws is a fucking masterpiece of a film and Robert Shaw should have won an Academy Award, but like, I think Quint's death is so graphic and it's so justified. Like a death in a film needs to be justified, and I think that's to me is such a great fucking kill. Like the man that is petrified of getting eaten by a shark will do anything. He's like he literally said like if a boat sinks. I'm not putting a life jacket. I will just drown. I do not care. I am not going to get killed by a shark. And he fucking gets
It's killed by
devoured.
shark.
Well, Brody sits in the back and it's just like holding on, like ah. um, also, I mean, like another classic would be like Psycho. Like that shower scene still slaps
Oh
today.
yeah.
I mean, I'm a big classic guy. And like for me, some of my favorite, most rewatchable movies, like hands down, the most rewatchable movie I think, period, is Evil Dead 2. I think Evil Dead is my favorite film of all time. But Evil Dead 2, I think, is a perfect fucking movie. And I put that movie on. I used to throw Halloween parties. And whenever I wanted people, because I had a backyard and shit, and whenever I wanted people to come out and sit in the living room and start calming down, I would put Evil Dead 2 on. And it'd be like, it would be like flies, to like, to honey. You put the honey down, and the flies all come. Um, and it what happened was, all right, and I just realized I'm wearing fucking Psycho. So
Oh
there we
yeah.
go.
That's awesome.
Um, um, and like it didn't matter if people had seen it, didn't matter what part of the film it was on, didn't matter. People would come in and they'd sit down and they'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" And they'd start watching it. Um, every single time. And Evil Dead 2 is one of those films that like there's not a frame of it you could take out and not want to watch. Jaws is another one that you can watch 1,000 times. Psycho, like one of the ones I watch every single year is the 1974 Bob Clark classic Black Christmas. Um,
Nice.
yeah, Maffei and I actually were both huge, huge. That's how we kind of bonded was over Black Christmas because we did a film together called Dark Circles, which is I think they're changing the name to the mysterious events surrounding a peeping Tom. So it's like a Giallo-ish name, which was the original name, but and he had this Black Christmas hoodie, and I was like, and I saw it on the thing. I'm like, whose Black Christmas hoodie is this? I need to fucking know. And he's just like, oh, it's mine. And I'm like, all right, we need to talk. Like, I Black Christmas, I think is arguably the greatest slasher of all time, and
Nice.
I think it's one of the most uh vicious slashers. I think you know what I mean. It's just so disturbing. It's such a disturbing film, and the look of it just feels that you could not replicate that. You cannot replicate the look and rawness and grittiness of like the fucked up film footage that is that movie. You know.
Hell yeah, man. Do you think there's like a hot take opinion, do you think there's any like over the most overrated slasher or anything of that sort?
Um, I am not a fan of anything with Children of the Corn.
Oh, that's
I
fine.
think
I really don't enjoy those films at all either.
I'm like I love Stephen King. I really do. Like his books are fucking amazing. Misery is, it felt like my own childhood, but like watching a lot of those movies, I just don't um I just don't like I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of them. You know what I mean? Like I think that maybe Puppet Master. I never got into Puppet Master
Oh
either.
yeah, never. I don't even think I've gotten full through that movie ever, to be honest.
I'll say this. I tried to watch them all, and I think it's like four, five, and six that start having a through line, or maybe it's three, four, and five. That I was like, all right, these are like 80 schlock, like they're okay, but like I just cannot. Oh yeah, Critters. I'm not a Critters guy.
Ah, gotcha. Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. By the way, shout out to Lauren because I was supposed to be at Chiller Theater and I had a gnarly
Oh,
sinus infection and I couldn't make it. So shout out to Lauren for hooking this up. Did you saw her? Did you see her Art the Clown figure, by the way?
I did actually. I yeah, no, I went up to her because of all the cool shit that she had. Like
She's
I
amazing.
saw the Art the Clown, I saw the Ash, like her dolls are amazing. Like those
Yeah.
are so cool.
Yeah, she's super talented. And she was like texted me while I was like in bed. And she was like, "Would you like to talk to one of the producers from Stream?" And I was like, "Yes." Like, I was like, I'm gonna watch it like next week. I was like, hell yeah. But dude, thank you so much for coming on. It's so cool to talk to you and everybody who I've got to talk to so far from the Terrifier team. And I'm just fortunate to talk to anybody that's in the line of work of horror movies and entertainment in general. I feel like I learn a lot. Um, Before I get off of here and I end the podcast, please tell everybody on my side where they can follow you and your films and where to check them out.
Oh no, dude, the pleasure's been all mine, dude. I've had an absolute blast on this.
Thank you.
So to find me, it's okay. So Instagram, follow me. It's just my name, at Marcus Slabine. So you can follow me there. You can follow the stream fan page, which is not the stream fan page, but there is a fan page, but at Stream Franchise, so that you follow us all on there. Um, there's also you can I'm on Facebook and stuff like that. And coming up right now, I just directed a short that we're finishing up right now, called Leave No Stone Unturned. We shot that at an awesome horror bar in New York called the Flying Fox Tavern. Shout out to them. And then the Blu-ray and DVD is going to be coming out for stream either late December, early January. So be on the lookout for that.
Nice.
Sundown, found footage horror film starring Damien Maffei from Strangers and Haunt and Wrong Turn, and Emily Sweet from Eight Eyes and Castle Freak will be coming out hopefully next year, as well as I Want Your Skin. So yeah, anybody that wants to follow us, we post everything on our Instagram. So by all means, check us out. Love to see you.
Hell yeah. Guys, check out Stream, check out Marcus, check out his films. If you want to follow us and you're one of the new listeners, we're audio underscore asylum underscore podcast on Instagram, Asylum TV on YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Marcus, I'm going to thank you one more time off of the recording, and we will catch you guys next time. Peace.